opposite. Oh, my screen is kind of opposite. Peace YouTube, this is FleurBrun coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. Check on in. I think you can kind of see me. My chair is like really crooked. Hold on. Kind of right to left. I haven't shifted on my screen. Peace, peace, peace. Hello, hello. My hair is kind of, forgive me, I'm about to go to the gym. I'm going to the gym, get rid of some of this fluffy. I wanted to talk to you guys before I start off, so check on in. Hello, hello. Greetings, Earthlings. Greetings. I wanted to definitely come in today. As many of you know, in the Caribbean, another geoengineered hurricane. My dogs, hold on. It's almost purposefully done that as soon as I come on, my dogs will go bonkers. Come on. Okay. Hold on, y'all. It's like the dog apocalypse in here. Hey, 7 grams. Hold on. Hold on. I'll get somebody to get them. Go. No, go. You guys are going to get howling. Hold on. Hey, Babette. Okay, just stop. She'll be fine. Okay. I got a message too. Okay. Peace. I want to also give my biggest condolences. As many of you know, my Caribbean people are experiencing a really terrible geoengineered governmental, storm that has really caused a lot of issues. So I want to give a big up to my Jamaican brethren. I see what's going on, and I'm really, really sorry, and I'm wishing everybody the best. As you know, I have in-laws that are in Jamaica, and all eyes are watching. So, again, families on board. A lot of things are happening. We're going to kind of discuss it, and it promoted me. It really brought me to speak about this because it touches home. So, so it's very sad. So I want everyone to just put give some good vibes, good vibes to our Jamaican family who's going through a lot right now. A lot of people have lost their homes, and I think last time, you remember, I didn't know there was a storm going in Jamaica. I remember I gave you the message from the MERS and the agreement that the MERS made with the Black extraterrestrials. I didn't know water was actually going to come on land. And I didn't realize why they were giving me the message. So big up to my family in Jamaica, wishing you the very, very best. Hoping that, you have very much support of your Caribbean family on the mainland. So, many of you know the Caribbean people, we all come together to make sure that we can help them through this really difficult time. So big up to everybody down there. I'm wishing everybody the best. I'm hoping that you can recover very strong. My brethren are very, very strong people, very resilient people. You've been through a lot more. And we're going to talk about what the storm really was. So check on it. Okay, check on it. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Oracle. Oracle's also, and many of you know Oracle's father was one of the greatest Caribbean Jamaican singers. He just transitioned. So big up to Oracle. Everyone give props to Oracle. Oracle's family is also on site, and I know she's very worried. Also, we have Babette. We got all the Caribbean gals in here representing for Jamaica. Big up. All right. Sending lots of love. I'll give you any information needed if anybody is thinking of helping right now. It's just a matter of finding out how everyone's doing. I think St. Catherine's, St. Anne's, I think they're okay. Kingston got hit pretty hard. So again, for those of us who have family members who are there, I also think that, and I'm going to talk about it. I'll wait until we get to 500 because I actually am going to tell you what I think happens in Jamaica and why it was targeted. And, I want to give a shout out to your corrupt government there because, the prime minister and your parliament sucks. They are the most corrupt. And the reason why this is happening, in my opinion, is because many of you don't realize what's happening in Venezuela is connected to the geoengineered storm that just hit Jamaica. But we'll go into it in a second. Okay. So check on in. How's everybody doing? Okay. Let me give a shout to the haters, okay? Love and light. Love and light. Mm, mm. Check on in. Oh wait, Kingston was spared, but the countryside was damaged. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the update. So Kingston was okay. So Kingston didn't get it as bad. All right. So we're gonna go into it. Many of I want my Caribbean people to come in here. Everybody's always welcome in here, but I would love to get my Caribbean people to come in, especially from Jamaica. Come on in. I think many of you are kind of, if you know Jamaican politics, if you know Caribbean politics, this is going to be a conversation that I think is very well needed, especially from outside the country, because again, having this conversation inside of Jamaica can make you a target. And as with any of the politics worldwide, with the Willy Wonka systems, you know that everyone's in bed. And I'll wait until we get to 500. I don't want to start. I don't want to start too early. Okay. So big up to my family in Jamaica, making sure everyone's well, stay strong, stay positive, stay resilient. You come from a bloodline of very resilient people. You come from the bloodline of the Taino and the Carib. You have come through worse and you always make it through. So I know that you'll overcome it, okay? It's very hard. And some of the images were really tough. I got images from family and it's hard to watch. So send a lot of good vibes, you know what I mean? Vibes to the people in Jamaica. So we'll wait until we get to 500. I know many of you, we're going to talk about also the monkey balls. Maybe I shouldn't wait. I got an hour with you guys. I got about 45 minutes with you guys before I have to go. I got to head out to the gym. So I'll wait until a few more people check in. Okay, check on in. Why does my hat seem crooked? I'm looking at my screen is like backwards, y'all. Hold on. I got so much hair. Look, I'm about to cut it again. My hair, gratefully, is really thick, but hold on. Okay. Oh, I think it's straight. Check on it. Okay. All right, we're not there. We're going to start at 500. I like to start at 500. So I hope everybody's well. We're going to talk about everything going on, about the EBT. I think I kind of talked about that before, the SNAP, EBT shenanigans, the BallRoom GoFundMe for bunkers, the BallRoom bunker fund. Let me tell you, your Willy Wonka systems, y'all, they have no shame. They are absolutely diabolical. I don't know when the revolution probably is already beginning. Because if you believe what's going on, you believe anything they tell you, you are literally suffering from some sort of Stockholm syndrome. Everything that they tell you, every bit of information, listen. The Willy Wonka is trying to, listen, the Willy Wonka is coming, y'all. Love and light. Love and light. I am the most antagonistic mother freaker. Okay? Because Willy Wonka is a bunch of losers. They're losers. Losers. Okay? Okay. So let's wait. We're at 400. Okay. Are you like my water bottle? You know how harmonically water bottle. That's my SMR. Love and light. Carribean style. Love and lights. Love and lights. I'm going to make a new album called, Your Government Sucks. What? Your government sucks. Your government is war. They want war. They want to put things up your Ross clot. What? All right. And let me just give a comment. I know many people travel during the time, and not everybody knows about traveling in the Caribbean or Florida. Let me just get an FYI for those who are going to travel in the future in the Caribbean. First of all, you do know that it is storm season until October, sometimes into November in the Caribbean and also in Florida. It is hurricane season. Now, I actually think this is GeoEngineered, but it is hurricane season. stop going to Caribbean islands and being really disgusting to the locals. You know, listen, there's a big storm. A lot of people who serve you at your hotels, at your resorts, they have families and they have homes that are literally sometimes only made with very minimal things, and they're living in nature, so they're not prepared for 500,000 for category 5 storms, which is rare to hit Jamaica. Be kind. Like, you're there in their island and you're telling them to prioritize that you over their lives and their family. What's wrong with you? Like, this is what I'm saying. And then you wonder why you're not treated well when you go abroad, why people think that Americans are really belligerent or just entitled. It's because of times like now where you have people there. Yes, you're stuck in the storm because you didn't do your due diligence to realize that you're going through a storm season, and you didn't want to cut your vacation short, so you stayed longer even though they told you to evacuate. Don't cause my brethren on the island any problems. If you don't like the treatment, then stop going to these islands and being nasty. Okay? These people are a lot of them have lost their homes. A lot of them don't even know where the pets are. Some of the goats, the chickens are lost. I mean, this is the people's livelihoods. Like, stop being egregious. That's why us as Americans get bad reputations, because of stuff like that. It's absolutely egregious. You know what I mean? Then you wonder why you go there, like, oh, why they treat us unwell? Because you're not being kind. And if you know people are going through trials and tribulations, you should be helpful to them. You should understand and know that even though you have the comfort of your hotel, most of them have not that ability to protect themselves, especially living in the rural areas, the people that serve you at the hotels and the resorts. Okay? Just, I mean, common courtesy. My God. And then you make everybody look bad. So everybody treats us like garbage. Bontage, tudo bem. Yeah. I'm gonna try to translate it into Portuguese. Narla paradise. Okay, so y'all, I'm gonna start the conversation. Big up to everyone. Peace of the East, the West, and North, South. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with a new couple topics of discussion. So check on in. As many of you know, I kind of kicked off the topic talking about Jamaica being hard hit with a category 5. I personally, this is my opinion, think it's a geoengineered storm. Many of you know that Jamaica was on the list for a smart city. Now, we talked about smart cities. We talked about the fact that we're going through reset. We talked about we're going to have a pole shift, and they're creating these smart cities, these freedom cities, to be able to put their prisoners, sheeple in, probably with a whole lot of churches, because Jamaica has a lot of churches. So I'm sure in Jamaica's island, when they're planning to clear areas, and if you notice, look at the areas that are going to be most devastated. So for those who are in Jamaica or those who know, I guess we'll figure out what areas were most devastated, just like in Hawaii. And we'll see that most likely these are the ley lines that they wanted most devastated, so that they can have an excuse to sweep the area, take the land, do a land grab, and then be able to post up their smart cities. Okay. Now, the parliament there is mad corrupt. And, brethren, don't say anything about it, because I don't want you guys getting hit hard, but I can say things in the state. The parliament there is massively, massively um, corrupt. And let me just say this. For the first time, you're going to hear me say this. I actually think that the storm was purposefully geoengineered, not necessarily by the United States. I think it could have been. Now, listen to me, and I would love your opinions as well, because I'm kind of just reading the movement. Many of you don't realize that Jamaica's parliament and their Willy Wonka system is in bed with United Fakes. Okay? Some of the people there know, but they're in bed with United Fakes. They've made agreements, and those agreements that previously Jamaica had with Venezuela, which many of you know, is being targeted right now by the U.S. Willy Wonka. And for most of you in the United States or in Europe who are friends of the Caribbeans, you don't realize that they're targeting fishermen, they're shooting at basic people, telling everybody they're cartels, when they're regular people, when they're just regular people going fishing and so on. We had two Trinidadian, what was it, 5? Was it 2? Trinidadian fishermen were killed in a mistaken identity where they're shooting off the coast. Now, why does this matter? This is all interrelated to the trying to take over the Americas. Many of you don't realize a while ago, your Willy Wonka, your orange gummy man, made a statement that he was going to rename the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal that was originally given to Panama so that they can do trade. But once China and Russia were found to be making trade over there, and they had made they had also taken over a lot of, they were giving aid to, I think it's Chavez over there, right? They were giving aid over to Venezuela. Now, I want to take you back a little bit, y'all, because back in history lessons for some of you who don't know. I don't know if you remember when Venezuela was originally attacked after a new president was designated there. I actually think he's a decent guy. And remember, there was blackouts in Venezuela. There was attacks that people lost their electricity. There was a coup that was taken over. That Willy Wonka, the League of Doom, was trying to create a coup to go in there and take over the designated president. Do you guys remember that? Because I got to take you back to take you forward. Okay. All right. Now, okay, you guys remember that. Now, during that time, you don't realize that for some of us who are from the region of like South America, the Caribbean, we kind of hear more inward news. You never hear the true news about your country. The best news you ever hear about the United States is outside the country or about a country. You won't hear it in the United States. A lot of our news is very much filtered and restricted. So, though you think that you're getting all your news from the United States, you're not. Okay. So back then, we knew that there was a potential coup that was trying to take over Venezuela. I have a love for Venezuela. Many of you know, my people are also from South America, around Brazil and Venezuela. My grandmother lived there for 15 years. I love the Venezuelan people. Big up to my Venezuelan people. We do see you. We aren't in alignment with our Willy Wonkas. So, don't believe the hype. Okay. So at the time they were trying to do a coup, but at that particular time, it was revealed that United Fakes and its cohorts couldn't take over the country because there were already other governments there, China and also Russia. Okay. And they kind of, did this, like put up their noses like, yo, we over here, we helping the people. We don't need you over here. So once they were made aware, and I know many of you know that during the time when we had renamed Willy Wonka, I shouldn't say we, your orange gummy man renamed the Panama Canal, he did that purposefully because he was attempting to take over that particular trade area that was now being used by China and Russia. Now, if you don't know the politics of everything, you have to remember that the BRICS is several countries that have come together to create their own form of currency, their own corporate standing, and that's the BRICS. You got, what is it? Brazil, Russia, India, China, no, Iran, China, and what's the S? What is the S? The BRICS. Oh God, what's the S, y'all? It's Brazil, Russia, China, Iran. South America, South Africa. Okay, so remember that has not broken apart. There's been some things happening in the backlay that they've not let us know about. They haven't known. Now there's other people who have joined the BRICS, y'all. Okay, this is like literally there are a couple things. Why I want to set this out, because I want to set the stage for what could be happening, in my opinion. And also for those of you who are not from the Caribbean, who are not knowing what's going on, because usually, like I said, your news is being filtered. For some of us who have family in Jamaica, family in Martinique and Guadeloupe, family over in Trinidad, family over between Curacao and Venezuela, we are seeing things. Also, there was a big attack on Brazil's favelas over in Rio. Okay, so big up to our family in Brazil. Listen, y'all, it is a bigger thing that you know. I'm just letting you know as someone who's in the know, because we have boots on ground, and also my family is all through the Caribbean and South America, so I get firsthand news. So what you're seeing is a takeover. And what I think happened in Jamaica, this is my personal opinion. I actually think because Jamaica's, this is my opinion, y'all, just let it be known. You can set your opinion, but this is what I think is happening. I actually think that there was some seed planting. This was a geoengineered storm created to destabilize Jamaica and also to take down the grid so that if you don't notice that during the same time there was an attack on Jamaica with a geoengineered storm, you don't see that there was also a hijacking over the all of the Microsoft and things like that. Microsoft was down. Starbucks was down. I only know Starbucks. Google was down. That was a purposeful attack. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll attack one area so that it's distracting, so that they can do something else and they hijack the other area. So what happened, you don't realize, is during the time they attacked, this is my opinion, they attacked Jamaica with a geoengineered storm. They took the opportunity to hijack the American system at the same point. Now, you don't realize, I actually don't think this was an American attack on Jamaica, because Jamaica's prime minister has sold out his country to America. So I actually think this was an attack from China or the BRICS nations, an attack on the grid so that they could take it down. So it would be a bait and switch. So you would be looking this way, and that they would be able to simultaneously attack the grid in the United States. I actually think whatever they did or whatever they are intending to do, maybe they're putting in maybe they're putting something in, maybe they did a worm. I don't know what it is. But, I'm a master clinician and I look at the finite things going in pieces of the puzzle. And I actually think that it was not an attack on Jamaica from the States. I actually think it was a cloak and dagger because, again, I don't know if you remember, my Jamaican brethren probably remember this, especially the elders. Remember how good the relationship between Jamaica and Venezuela was? It was absolutely a phenomenal. It was a marriage made in heaven. The Jamaicans and Venezuelans have a long history of friendship, family, camaraderie. It's a long history of friendship. Once you had the Deros implant the new parliament, which are all in bed with the United States gummy man, they literally broke up that protection, that bond, that relationship that they had with Venezuela. Okay. Caribbean has a very unique structure. The way that we interface with the other islands in South America is very unique. And it's not known to those of you in the West because that's purposefully hidden so that you don't see how they geo-engineer coups so that they can strategize and be able to take over certain ports. Okay. Remember, I don't know if you realize, China had all the ports over in Jamaica. So I don't, any of my Jamaican family in here. So remember, our family in Jamaica knows this. All the ports were born over by the Chinaman. They say the Chinaman, right? Okay. Most of the ports were brought over by China. Okay. That's why I say I feel my spidey senses are saying that this was a geoengineered attack on Jamaica because of one in bed with America, and I think that it was an internal attack creating a storm that would give a fake screen, so that while they're attacking Jamaica and everyone's got their eyes, because you got to remember, y'all, they keep putting you to focus on one arena. They want you to focus on one area. You don't realize all these things are rolling at the same time. And then for big up to Cherish, who shared before I got news from Brazil that right now in the favelas, they are doing a cleanse. This is all interrelated because once you get an attack in one way, and they're not going to tell you that it was probably China or Russia that attacked and are trying to do what they did, a hit, and they did a hit on Jamaica, who's in bed with America. Your parliament sold you out, and then they hit the Microsoft and all those other they hacked. At the same time, when they did this, where did they go and hit? It was a counter hit that America done. This is my opinion, to Brazil. And they went into Brazil to hit them in the favelas. Now, why would the favelas matter? Most people think, oh, these are poor people. They don't really matter. Big up to my cariocas who are in Rio de Janeiro. If you don't realize, like in the favelas themselves in Rio are like an independent structure. They kind of run and rock and roll with, their own electricity. They have their own infrastructure. They have their own political system. They have their own hierarchy. Most of you may not know that. But what you also don't know, unless you go to Brazil and you understand Brazilians, they have a lot of good camaraderie and business with Venezuela. If you go into the time when Venezuela was being destabilized, while other countries like Colombia were closing Venezuelans out, Brazil was one of the countries that let the Venezuelans come in without being demonized, without being restricted. Because I remember when I said I went to Colombia, and when I was in Colombia, I went shopping with my children, and I remember having to show my passport because they thought I was Venezuelan, so that they didn't want any Venezuelans shopping in their country and having any free reign in Colombia. Even though Colombia seems to forget that Venezuela, when they were being destabilized, Venezuela came to their rescue. Because remember, Venezuela was one of the most positive and rich and resourceful countries within the area of South America and the Caribbean, because it sits between the waterways. Okay. And that's where your ports come in. And you see, this is all has to do with taking over the ports, trying to hijack certain systems. So I actually think that all of this is being set up, a geoengineered storm, with an attack on Jamaica with the geoengineered storm that would end up cloaking something so they can attack Americans' electrical grid and do a hijack there. As a counter, they went into Brazil, into the favelas, where they hide a lot of the things they do, which are related to Venezuela. Venezuela has a connection to a lot of the things that are going on in, especially I think also with the drug trade, they have a good strong arm in Brazil. So if many of you, and I want to give, some love and protection also to our Brazilian family, unfortunately in Brazil, whenever they go and attack the favelas, in especially in Rio, they tend to, there's a lot of bystanders that end up getting killed. It is an ethnic cleanse, because many of you don't realize that the most brown people, the preto, the morena, right, the negritas, all live in favelas. And because of that, there ends up being a sidebar of ethnic cleansing that happens at the time they do raids. So many of you are seeing, a lot of devastation. A lot of people are taking pictures of what's happening in the favelas right now. I'm wishing everybody well who is living in Rio, over in, especially in that Copacabana area. I'm wishing you a lot of love and protection over there. It's a coordinated hit, y'all. We're getting hits and then counter hits. Okay, so this is all by your Willy Wonka system. And all during this time, as we're doing this, we get a monkey balls reset with another truck, which happened, 2 years ago, with a truck coincidentally crashing in United Fakes with 21 monkeys. You don't think that number is interesting? You don't think that number of 21 monkeys is interesting? And a couple monkeys got released. Oh, I'm sorry, lost. Release the loss. I don't know. Release the loss. A couple monkeys got loose in the goose, and unfortunately, they were euthanized because Willy Wonka's League of Doom always have an agenda. Euthanized, but there's one monkey on the loose, right? So remember, I talked about the fact that I actually think that there is a new pandemic that they were planning to release, and it would happen close to November 1st. I think it's kind of interesting that, 21 monkeys is the opposite of 12 monkeys, right? Exactly. I love it. What's a cosmic chaos? I love it. You're right on point. It's a 3, which means it's a hit, most likely by the Kabbalists. The Kabbalists, okay? So remember, there was another release of monkeys. What was it, 2 years ago? And remember, it's very important that you kind of remember that during this time, when they want to start to strategize collapsing the economy, and part of collapsing the economy and creating these geoengineered storms, recalibrating, fighting on the back lay for supremacy and for a full takeover of the Caribbean, especially the separation between Panama over by the Panama Canal leading into Colombia. That is like somewhere that United Fakes wants to take over, and all of the others who are connected to the Deros. They're trying to take over that particular um, uh, trade point. Like, what is it? For export imports. It's a very powerful place. And because they don't have control of it, they want to dominate it. So, in order to dominate that, it's not going to happen with Colombia. You need to have power in Venezuela because Venezuela has a lot of friends, like big friends, from other places like Russia and China and North Korea. So you got to kind of beef up your reason for being there, make up an excuse why you got to be there. Oh, we're stopping the cartel. We don't want drugs. Let me explain something, y'all, who are suffering from some form of like Stockholm syndrome. United Fakes is the biggest. They are the biggest users of drugs and the biggest porn watchers and the biggest violators of children. Okay. So when you sit here as an American and demonize Venezuela, you demonize Colombia, you always talking about people abroad in third world countries, you need to look in your own house before you start looking into other people's neighborhoods, because they wouldn't exist if you didn't have the taste or the appetite for perversion. The reason why you have all these drug cartels in Mexico and Colombia, or God knows where else, is because the American people and in Europe have an appetite for drugs, sex, and debauchery. The reason why this is happening is because you have why don't you get after the people who are purchasing it? Why aren't you getting after the people that are doing it rather than people that are selling? You are always going to find employment for that which garners money and exchange for the things that you have taste for. Okay. So stop demonizing people abroad, saying, oh my God, these South Americans, these Colombians, these Venezuelans are criminals. If you're going to call people criminals, why aren't you calling the people that are watching child porn criminals, which are all in your Willy Wonka system? Do you remember when they did a sweep of the Pentagon of their all their data, and there were so many working at the Pentagon who were engaged in watching child porn? Do you forget about that? Those are the people in charge of making sure we're safe and the United States. Why is that never brought up? That the biggest consumers of child pornography are in your military, right? Why is it not brought up that if you go to a lot of these middle places, because you always like to put brown people's faces on everything, but if you go into middle America, which is so sad, the majority of people who are suffering from drugs and opioids are looners. Why do we only focus on one without denoting that one is the causation of another problem? Okay. So I just want to put that in there because, I'm hearing like, oh, Venezuelans are gang members and so on. First of all, if you've never been to Venezuela, I think you should shut your mouth. I do. If you've never met a Venezuelan personally in your life in a non-hostile way, you should shut your mouth. I've met so many Venezuelans, and I told you it's a family for me because my grandmother stayed there for 15 years. She's practically Venezuela. South America, they are the most beautiful, loving, amazing people. When it was doing well, when the oils were flowing, when they weren't attacked and demonized, y'all didn't have a problem with Venezuelans. What happened to all the so-called demonization of the men? You didn't say anything about them then. When they were living well, you just have a tendency to be geoengineered with your thoughts because you're very, very controllable or mind controllable because you listen. Everybody online says, oh, the government's lying. Oh, we don't believe them. But it's interesting that you don't believe it when it comes to some things, but you'll believe it when it comes to certain things. So you have a very narrow uh, uh, synapse. The way that you process truth is only in relation to you personally, or those you or deem should be in a more biased way if it's people that you deem to be lesser. Okay. So I wanted to bring up the fact that I actually think that there is plans for, of course, smart cities in Jamaica. I want to send a lot of love. This isn't to demonize my people in Jamaica. They're beautiful people. They're suffering right now. They've been attacked by geoengineered storm. Regardless of how it is, that's how it looks in my opinion. Their government has sold them out like ours has. Okay. And they definitely need some love, and some good vibrations. Okay, but definitely know that that attack that happened was coordinated with an attack that happened the same day, within the same 24 hours in the United States, when Microsoft and all of these software companies being attacked at the same time. What they did, I don't know. They were all hijacked. And unfortunately, you never hear the real story. You won't hear what happens. You won't hear the follow up. You won't hear how it was resolved. You'll just go back to business as necessary. Okay. And then also, we got to take in consideration this is all on the eve of the veil being wide open of the harvest. Okay. You don't think this has something to do with that as well? This is a harvest when souls are able to exchange via through the veil, where ancients talk to you, where you're able to exchange with your family members. Who's to say how that affects the people in that area? And also, just to play devil's advocate, who's to say that a portal wasn't opening in Jamaica and they wanted to make sure people wouldn't be able to exchange something? Because again, whenever they target an area, it's never just one fold. It's the multitude of reasons why Jamaica was targeted, as opposed to some of the other neighboring islands. I think Cuba also is getting it as well, but obviously I'm not sure how bad Cuba. Does anyone know how bad Cuba? I gotta check Cuba. Okay, remember, because Cuba and Jamaica are in close proximity. Did anyone check and see how Cuba's doing right now? Anybody? I haven't checked. I've been. Cuba got hit back too. Okay, thank you, Carly. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, it got hit. I'm sorry about that. Haiti and Cuba got hit. Okay, I'm gonna check that. Let's send some protection and love to our Cuban and our Jamaican family, our Cuban family, and of course Haiti. Okay, a lot of these things, you know, Summit. Remember, we are in a pole shift, but remember, there's a lot of Willy Wonka shenanigans going on when they're trying to take over certain terrain, and when they're trying to make you look in one arena while you are looking left, they're doing something to the right. Okay. But again, I'm going to follow up with you guys. I'm going to look at the terrain in Jamaica that was most devastated to see if it was purposefully done where the smart cities were planned, because we do know they had smart cities planned for Jamaica as well. And then also to see what the after effect of the hack was to the United States. And also I'm going to follow up what's happening in Brazil. So, sometimes it's better to get news from those on site. What's your opinion? What's your opinion on Haiti? Is there any hope for them? Of course. Haiti is suffering from the repercussions of winning a war against the Deros. And if you look at all the countries that they most demonize, the countries that they most demonize and they attack are the countries that Haiti helped to elevate and to emancipate. Okay, so if you look at Venezuela, it was one of the countries. Colombia, El Salvador, wait, no, Ecuador, what was it? Venezuela, Ecuador, America, America as well. Colombia, who else? There was a couple other countries. If you look at the flags in those countries, you'll notice they have the same colors as Haiti. Most of you don't know the reason why they have the same colors is because when they won against the French, the Haitians did, a lot of the other countries helped to ask for help to emancipate themselves from the Spaniards. Okay. And when Haiti did successfully, and nobody gives them honor and respect. But some do. The government still, like Brazil, still definitely supports Haiti. And I love that they do. I noticed that even Chile is also a supporter of Haiti. Most of us in those other parts of the country, we know this, but in American lexicon, you don't get that information because they don't want you to know the camaraderie, because they want to try to break it apart. Jamaica was also a big supporter at the time of Haiti, because remember, some of the revolutionaries that were on Haiti were sent to Jamaica, which ended up causing a revolutionary, explosion in Jamaica, and that's why there was an emancipation of them too. So, Haitians obviously they were invited to New Orleans because they helped emancipate the French from New Orleans as well, and that initiated with had to do with all the Louisiana Purchase. Okay. That's why you see no one gives credit to the Haitians, because all of that beautiful New Orleans food, that Creole culture, or that voodoo, hoodoo, whatever you like, that has to do with Haiti. Okay. So put some respect on the Haitian people as well. Okay. Okay, so let's go over to the monkey balls, y'all, because again, I think the pandemic is undergoing with the monkey balls, and also let's talk about the ballroom slash bunkers that your gummy man is building on your White House. What do you think about that? Don't you think it's interesting? I'm sorry. Don't you think it's interesting that at a time when your oligarchy is denying people food, and mind you, food stamp, the food stamps thing is crazy. I told you, you can't be codependent. The reason they make you codependent on SNAP and food stamps and all that stuff is so they can pull the rug. They want to make you it's like a codependent partner. It's like a man you get with. He wants to take you away from your family. He wants to move you in the middle of nowhere. He wants to isolate you, so you're only relying on him. So if he wants to kick you, beat you, disrupt your peace, you don't have anywhere to run or anything to do. He can control you because you have nothing else to fall back on. It's the same difference when you have people who are codependent on lifetimes of using government and system as a crutch. You can listen. I think there's times for everything. I think when a woman gives birth and she doesn't have any help and she needs help with the baby, absolutely she needs the assistance. I think when there is times when you lose your house, you lose your job, and you lose everything, there's definitely time that's an emergency. I think when there's elders that don't have enough resources, they don't get enough social security to cover for their food and their lodging, I think absolutely that is appropriate to help those people. But when you have grown people, listen, and stop saying brown people. Majority of food stamps is not by brown people, y'all. I don't have me go and give you people who work in the government who tell it. 45% is non-brown people. That's others. Okay, they're on food stamps. They got better cars than you and I. They have they have cell phones. They got the freshest iPhone off the block. I'm just saying, y'all. Okay, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a lot of people on so-called food stamps are living up at the sake of everybody else. I think this is a spiritual awakening because I feel like on an esoteric level, I feel like energetically, for those who aren't doing for themselves and are leeching off of others or crutching off of other things, they're going to have to be awakened in a different way. Sometimes discomfort is the biggest way that you wake up to your own um, codependency, your own necessity to really pick up yourself by your britches and start doing for yourself and your family. I actually think it's a spiritual thing. So I think for those who are suffering and feeling fearful, I think you always knew that you weren't supposed to be on it. You always knew that you wanted to be self-sustaining and maybe grow your own food and live off the land and not live off of Willy Wonka, dependent on him giving you poison food, you know what I mean? And perpetuating your own lack of self-reliance. This is a time to stand up and do for yourself and your family. I don't want you to starve, but you're not gonna starve. And the majority of people on food stamps are not weighing 80 pounds, y'all. Okay, they're a little fluffy like me. Okay, so maybe a little fasting will help you out, and maybe you will stop giving your children milk, which is full of pesticides and dastardly things. Giving them Kellogg's, which is full of metals and soy products. Stop giving them Juicy Juice, which is full of just a massive amount of sugar, and you wonder why children have diabetes. Maybe this is a spiritual awakening. If we want to take it on an esoteric level and say, why is this happening? Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to pick yourself up and say, yo, you can't really move around with a government controlling everything you do. You can't have a man in the house. You gotta always lie. You always gotta play it lower so that you can get the money. You're always scared they're gonna come to your house and check you out and start surveying you. Who wants to live like that? Let it go. Okay? Let it go. Because you shouldn't be codependent on a system that does not care for you and only uses that as a leverage to be able to control you and then inevitably destroy your peace of mind. Okay. But on another level, you do know that, all of the food stamps or the so-called SNAP that they're trying to deny people, it is purposefully being threatened in order to push people over the edge. Okay. They want you to go and steal and do craziness. They want to have the reason to take out all cashiers and just do electronics so they can do digital IDs so that you can't go in there unless you show that you and prove that you have a digital ID. This is a way to heighten up digital surveillance and to push people to do something crazy so that you have a reason to bring in martial law. So when martial law comes in, you'd be like, listen, we needed it. Just with 9/11, when the Darrows did that whole 9/11 diabolicalness and created that whole thing, when they destroyed my city, when my people had people jumping out of the thing, when they had a whole bunch of their people jumping around celebrating, going back to the Middle East, talking about we did our job. Look what that did to our flying. You had to take your shoes off. Now you had to be felt up, doing 3D sex on you before you get on your goddamn plane after paying $800 for a ticket. You had to be criminalized. So all of that ushered in a form of heightened security that they wanted. So they create the problem, then create a solution, and then put you under heightened amount of surveillance and militant kind of abuse. Okay. What's going to happen next is with this, make them not get food stamps at a time when it's cold. Big up to Daryl, because I didn't even think about this. Who was saying this? No, it was somebody from Zoom. Was it Daryl? Yeah. Why are you doing it at the middle of winter when people can't get fresh goods and everything? So you're doing it in the middle when winter's coming about. You're doing it during a holiday season when most people, they love the one part that they do enjoy one time a year is having holiday, turkey of mass destruction, sitting down with their family, having time with their elders, right? And then I think, Daryl, what did you say? You also said something else. You said it was winter, it's holiday season, and also, how are you going to fly when all of your people that are, that fly in, now you have, I just heard yesterday from a guy who was fixing something in my house. He said his brother hasn't been paid his brother's working as a federal worker. He hasn't been paid in 2 months and he got 5 girls. What? So you think you can go fly now when TSA, or you don't have the guys who pull you out, who monitor the planes coming in and out? You don't think that's purposefully done to push people against the wall so that they act erratically? It's a spiritual thing, y'all. It's loosh. They're trying to remember this is a harvest time. We always say they're harvesting children, but it looks like they're going to be harvesting human behavior with pushing people against the wall and making them act really erratic because they feel desperate. So what better way to feed into loosh during a time when the veil is really open? Okay. So it's important for you to pay attention to all of the different arenas of psyops that are occurring almost simultaneously. And what's crazy is that a psyop is not just one tier; it could be multiple layers of tiers purposefully going in a certain succession, right? So you got them hitting Jamaica with a storm that never hits Jamaica, not like that, not category 5. The people are really resilient and they can deal with this. So you hit them hard. Jamaica is ran by the United Fakes. Their parliament has sold out the island, who used to be in good graces with Venezuela, which they stopped. So now they're no longer in good graces with Venezuela because Venezuela is down with the Chinois and Russia. Okay. But we don't notice that there's probably a kickback where that might have happened to mess up and make us look in one direction while they're attacking the infrastructure of the United States, all of your electric, your Microsoft and all your other systems. As a counter, there was an attack in the favelas, which most people don't think would be something that would matter, over in Brazil, which is a big network in the favelas in Brazil, because Brazil is part of the BRICS. And also in that area, they're very good and very cohesive with the Venezuelans. So you could hide a lot of things also in the favelas with any interface that could be hidden in the favelas because they have their own political system. Okay. Meanwhile, there's a post up the United Fakes. all up in the Caribbean waters, messing with the local people. No one's telling you that now that the United Fix is over there, how many children are missing now? How many local children all of a sudden are not showing up anymore? Because whenever you have the Daros like to harvest organs, and they like to have sex with children, especially little pretty Caribbean children. So best believe you got United Fix posted up in the Caribbean. You got to watch your children over in Jamaica, Trinidad, over on Belize. You got to watch them over in Curacao. Make sure you watch your children, because once